So in the Get Probate Cash program, one of the most important tools, I think, for a real estate agent or investor, wholesaler working in probate, how do you solve customers' problems? The most common problem is they don't have the money, or they don't think they have the money to hire, most commonly, legal services to help them with the probate get started, or litigation, or other needs. And so commonly we work with probate advance companies, and what I'm really excited to talk to you about today is Inherit Now. And we have Casey Cohen and Ravi from Inherit Now talk about their program. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey Bill, how are you? Nice
to
see you. Thanks for having us on.
Good, thanks so much. So give me a little background on the company. Where the company start? Is this your sole? I know you guys have kind of like a three-legged stool. Talk a little bit about the company background and how those products or services work together.
Gladly. The estate registry is really born out of the desire to help folks walk themselves through the entire probate process, from estate planning to products that will help them at the time of a loved one's passing. And then finally, in the later stages of that process, when probate's actually opened in the courts, through Inherit Now. Inherit Now is the first product to launch out of those, out of the estate registry family. What we do is we advance folks their anticipated or expected inheritance prior to probate closing. For whatever reason they may need the funds and the liquidity to achieve their own financial goals, whether that's to pay tuition, or whether that's to make appropriate renovations on a house. And we found other use cases for the product as well over the 18 months that we've been doing business, and we realized we've helped a lot of people really achieve not only their financial goals, but also their own peace of mind goals.
What I've noticed with your company, and I track all the activity in LA County, so I can only really speak with authority from LA in terms of research, is that your company seems to be more affiliated with attorneys, and really, I would say some of the more experienced professional attorneys in the probate space, whereas other companies seem to be more consumer or heir related. Is that a strategy, or is that just kind of how it worked out? And can you give me a little background on that?
I think we do a nice blend of both. If I'm honest as I can be, we do some strong, marketing and on Google keyword search, but we find that our relationships with professionals that exist in the probate space to be one of the more valuable avenues to attract business to Inherit Now, and to also ensure that we can help those clients that need it the most, whether it's folks in the real estate space, whether it's folks in the estate planning and attorney world, or whether it's wealth advisors, or even funeral directors. Those folks are experts in their field, and to have them as partners that can help build the business as well as help their own clients is only something that builds credibility around the entire industry.
Yeah, I notice, I've seen a range of these documents and samples, try to be familiar with what my customers see. And it seems like the documents are complete. They seem to be very straightforward, which I don't know if people necessarily appreciate what that is. But like I said, it seems that you almost always, the ones that I saw came through a professional. They weren't done by somebody on their own coming through your, do you help professionals understand the product? Are you, there must be some service level involved to make that happen. Nobody's looking for extra work in their lives. We're all busy. So how does that happen?
Yeah. So we have a formidable partnership program, of which Ravi is a major part of and really heads up in many ways, especially on the attorney and real estate verticals of the business. when you sign up as a partner with Inherit Now, we like to make it as easy as possible for those partners. They have other jobs to do. It's our job to worry about going through the due diligence and helping their clients to help them build the credibility in their own businesses. We're not looking to have somebody create more work for themselves. We're actually looking to help others and the folks in the real estate world and the attorney verticals make less work for themselves while also helping their clients.
Right.
If they can build that stickiness in their business and help build that attraction to their own business, we're only going to have a happier partner at Inherit Now. The process, to answer your question, if I may briefly, is one in which you sign a small agreement with us that you understand, and we lay out the referral fees. You get a couple pieces of marketing materials, one of which is a customized URL link that you can use in various areas. You could use to just email to your clients. You can use to put on your own website, and we'll work with you and your website designer to get that onto the company's website. And it helps us track exactly what businesses sent to us or referred to us by your business bill or an attorney's firm, so that we can pay the right referral fee at the end of every quarter. And once they fill out the form that you were just showing on the screen earlier, that customer goes immediately to our funding analyst team, and they receive a call, and our funding analysts walk them through the entire process from start to finish. And then we let you know at the end of the process whether your client was approved or maybe didn't qualify for whatever reason may be. But it's a very hands-off approach, other than to say, refer them to us, send them to your link that directs them to the Inherit Now website, and let us take over from there for you. You can check in with us whenever you'd like to check status on that. And we're happy to communicate with you and the various partners we have in a very transparent manner.
Yeah, and Bill, and just to add on to that point, the last thing that we want to do is add non-billable time to an attorney's day, because they're every hour of the day they should and be wanting to be billing. And so we could do anything from as little as say, hey, take your URL, your Inherit Now URL, and send it out to any of your clients that possibly need a cash advance, and they can come straight to us, and we'll take it from there. But we can go to making it as advanced as having a web page built on their website, where it could be listed as one of their services that says inheritance advanced services. They can click on there. We can provide the marketing materials, videos, walkthroughs that explain exactly what the process is, what you need to do to qualify for a cash advance, and the process, how it works, all that stuff. Have that all kit and canned on the site, so that the page does all the selling for them. And then once they actually go on the link and complete the form, we take over from there.
Yeah, and I did that. It really was it was all really pretty much that simple and worked out really nice. So I can attest to that, and the forms are pretty straightforward. What strikes me about this business, this industry, is how little is known about it. I'd been active I literally was at court every day for over a year and a half before I discovered it. Before I did some research to find out there was more to it than I knew of. I've been a guest speaker on an attorney's mastermind that was, in a couple states, and none of them had ever heard of it and thought it was like I had invented fire when I even brought it up. And I find that there's a couple misconceptions that attorneys dismiss this right away. One is that, and it may be that there's some shady operators in this business, right? Or there were more shady operators, or there are or were, and you guys strike me as pretty straightforward. Like I said, you work with some pretty good attorneys. So do you see that kind of feedback from attorneys when you try to work with them, and how do you answer that, or is it just really judge us based on our actions? How do you because I know for me, I've had attorneys where almost like they question my integrity, and I say, well, listen, me. And I'm only using this when it makes sense to help the customer. How do you handle that?
Look, I think that the product in and of itself is one that folks are unfamiliar with. It is something that when people don't know of something or understand something, they tend to have questions about it and want to understand it. What we found is that when people ask those questions and understand it, they realize, wow, the facts of the matter are there's no recourse to me. I don't have a credit check. So you're not checking my credit as the heir. I don't have to repay the advance. The estate pays the advance at the time of closing of probate. And I don't make monthly payments on the advance. Inherit Now is simply waiting for probate to close in place of me. And we're experts at valuing the estate that sits in question, and then also in turn determining what the subsequent inheritance of the heir might be. And so I think when they start to understand the process and how it plays out, and they realize that it's non-recourse to them, and that the process is actually born out of discovering only what is publicly available on court websites and, through the executors, the information that they already have, or the probate attorneys that are overseeing the estate, it becomes something that people not only become familiar with, but are actually excited about. We've seen time and again where one heir in the estate had discovered the product and found Inherit Now, and then referred their siblings to the product because they all understand that the frustration that can come from the red tape of the court system in any of the 3,200 counties that exist in the United States can only create more and more familial frustration, right? So the family can then turn get frustrated with one another. We relieve that burden from so many folks because they learn, hey, we're waiting on the courts. We could get our money now that we so desperately desire or want. And we don't have to be burdened and wait and, frustrated by this process.
Well, and the way I try to describe it is diversifying also, that typically you're taking a small piece of that ultimate inheritance, but if that small piece can get you better legal representation, then you're kind of ensuring that inheritance down the road, that might be a year or two or longer. So take that small part up front, and maybe take a little extra, maybe just make it fun or whatever, but don't do it just for fun. Do it because by getting the right attorney instead of the wrong attorney is going to get you the $500,000 inheritance a year from now, versus not getting it or getting tied up in litigation and things like that. And to me, it's like a diversification of your portfolio.
Yeah, we don't. So it's our role to stand in the shoes of the heir, but we don't replace the heir and we don't represent the heir legally, but we can, we do represent our own interest once we take an assignment of interest, which is really what the legal term for the advance. We represent our own interests, and those could generally be aligned with that of the heirs and the beneficiaries of the estate, because everybody wants the process to move forward. Right. That said, we can't offer necessarily legal advice to those beneficiaries. We can only move forward in our own best interests as the inheritance advance company.
But I can give them business advice. I can't give legal advice either, but I can say, hey, I've seen these things go. I've seen people like you wait years for your $500,000. And yes, you're saving the 10, if you're going to advance 10,000, you're saving the other 10,000. Yes, but you're not going to see it. If you add another year on the $500,000, that alone, the value at 5% is 25,000. So in some cases, if you can expedite the process, maybe avoid litigation by moving more quickly and efficiently, you actually save money in the long run. And that's the part that I try to say from a business point of view, is an option they should need to look at. On the flip side, people go, "Oh my gosh, it's so much money. You borrow 10,000, pay back 15 or 20." And it sounds like a lot. And it is, by percentage. Of course, there's no payments, no recourse. But I think the thing I try to tell people is I get people all the time who call me as investors and say, "Oh, I'd love to invest in that. That sounds great. That sounds like a great rate of return, easy money." Then I describe what you guys have to do to underwrite the case and make sure you're going to get paid back in most of them. And all of a sudden, it's not so enticing. So describe a little bit about the process. What do you have to do to underwrite or ensure that, not ensure is not the right word, but do your best to verify that you're going to get repaid? Because it's not so simple, is it? It's not just like, yeah, you say you're an heir. Oh, well, you must be the heir. We'll go advance the money because we know we're getting paid back. It doesn't work that way, does it?
No, when you fill out the form on the Inherit Now website, you're contacted by one of our funding analysts, and our funding analysts take you through the due diligence process, which basically, in a nutshell, means the same thing it does for any other person or organization that's going to want to give you money that eventually will be repaid. We want proof that you are an heir, that there is an open probate case in whatever jurisdiction is overseeing the probate case. And then we also want verified documentation to start to illustrate to us the assets, the liabilities, and what that person's anticipated inheritance is of the net value of the estate. So oftentimes we have intestate estates, and those follow the probate laws of the jurisdiction in which the estate is being probated. And then we also have those that are testate. And then obviously at that point, we would need a copy of the will or the trust. Once that all occurs, it goes through the approval process. We make an offer to the individual on what we're willing to advance them. They accept or decline. We send them a contract. They have all the time they need to read the contract, reasonable time, obviously. And then once the agreement is signed, they're either sent the money via check overnight. In the slowest process, we wire it to them, or we send it via ACH payment. So it really becomes up to the client and the estate representative how fast we can get folks their money once they fill out the form and are contacted by our funding analyst team.
Where do you guys operate? What states do you operate in? What states do you not operate in? You operate in
Currently,
California, so you're pretty brave.
Well, the great thing about California is that it is the only state in the union that has any regulation about this regarding this industry. And we adhere to that regulation throughout not only the 50 states, but also Canada, as it has become the gold standard to operating processes and procedures. Going through the same exercise in the United Kingdom as we're starting to apply for FCA approval in the United Kingdom. Hopefully that works out. We manage and operate in all of those jurisdictions, all 50 states in the US, Canada, and hopefully one day we'll be taking it overseas.
Well, I've had a couple of guests on my probate weekly show from the UK and a couple from Canada. So most companies I work with are more local. So good to know that. Well, good. So I guess the last question is, obviously, as a company, we all have, a variety of customers. Some we do business with, and some we kind of do business with reluctantly, and other ones that are really that we build a business on. What are the common characteristics for you of a partner that you see as really successful in their practice, and then works effectively with you as a vendor or partner?
I might defer this one to Ravi, but I would start to say first, we really appreciate those folks that educate themselves on our product, call us to understand the product, really dig in and understand what's in the spirit and what is the kind of core values of Inherit Now. And then also understand exactly how I think that basically that leads to them understanding exactly how we can help their client, which in turn helps them at the same time. We really appreciate those folks that understand that there's a communication two-way street that we're willing to participate in, and we want to help our partners help us, and in turn help us help our partners. This is the partnership program of Inherit Now is one that really wants to create true partnership.
Nice.
Yeah, and there's a number of the type of attorney we work with also helps determine the amount of success in the program, and the amount of cash advances that go out and stuff like that. There's the trusted estate attorneys, which I say they deal with the living, right? They're establishing the trusts and the wills and all that, for their clients, and they're primarily, and keeping those up to date. And those, their clients don't pass away that often. It happens once in a while, but it's a rare thing. And then in those cases, they would have the potential need for an inheritance advance. Now, the probate attorneys are the ones that they deal with folks that have passed away already, right? And so and moving settling that estate through the courts, and they do that. That's kind of their regular work, on a daily basis. So those are the ones who we have the most success with from a volume standpoint, are the actual probate attorneys, right? And so I think one of the reasons why when you were mentioning earlier about the level of attorney that we work with today is choose us over perhaps some of the others, is because to run this business model, it's not just Casey and I. I mean, there's a whole organization back there of folks that help us operate this business, and so that's what allows us to make it effective and efficient, and the high level of customer service and professionalism, all that is because it's not 2 men in a garage kind of situation, right? There's a full organization behind this, and we're trying to build it to a different level, right? Make it a professional business model that any attorney that that looks at themselves the same way would say, yeah, I'd prefer to work with these guys.
I was so reassured when I discovered it wasn't just you two guys. That was a big relief for me in deciding to work with you as a firm. I'm just kidding. Look, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate, we started a relationship a few months ago, and we're kind of up and running that. I think the core of it is educating, for me, my clients, the attorneys I work with, as well as the families that are potential prospects as well. And so I appreciate the time today to share that with my tribe, and look forward to working with you guys going forward. Thank you so much for your time today.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. Thanks for having us on.